Do you know what it means to be a motherless daughter? Did you know you can have mother loss without mother death? Mother loss comes in many forms, and Motherless Daughters Ministry is here to help you navigate through your particular mother loss. While you are unique, you are definitely not alone. We have 20 years worth of pearls of wisdom to help you on your mother loss journey, and we are sharing all of these pearls with you through this very podcast, Nurturing Words, Voices of Experience, sponsored lovingly by Motherless Daughters Ministry.
Hello, I'm Gladys Bell, your host for today. We are wrapping up our 2025 year with the podcast. We started the year celebrating our 100th episode and are ending it celebrating all that our podcast has done throughout the year. We've continued to grow as a podcast and know that is because of you, our listeners. Thank you for listening, rating our programming, and sharing our episodes. We are so thankful to all our listeners for tuning into our podcast. We hope you have been encouraged through the interviews and stories shared each month. Podcasts are only as successful as they are due to the listeners. Thank you for helping make our podcast reach new listeners in 2025. We received a year in review from Buzzsprout, our podcast host, that looks back at 2025, and we are so proud of all we accomplished. In 2025, we published 25 episodes. We had 3,434 downloads, the most we've had in a year since starting in 2021. We pray something we shared touched the lives of those who heard it, and we pray that we continue to reach more people in 2026. As we continue to look back on our podcast growth, let's break down our most popular 2025 episodes.
First, coming in at number 5, we have episode 108 from this past May. This episode was a compilation of testimonies from attendees of our Journey Retreat. This is an in-person retreat held annually by our ministry. It is for any woman who's experienced any type of mother loss. It's truly a special time to see women coming together and find community and meet with others who understand their journey. We've seen women's lives changed during this retreat. Let's listen to one of the testimonies shared during this episode. I needed to be alone from the distractions and duties of the world and day-to-day life to examine me and to get correction for me and to evaluate me as to why I had feeling of being not only different, but not equipped on levels the way others are. I needed to submit and give back to me for the first time in my life. I knew I lost my mother's body at age 19, but never knew I never had a mother. I was the 0 to 6 group, and this was okay. Thank you, Lord, that it was not me all along. I always knew this, but the confirmation was the most healing of the weekend. This was the biggest tool the devil had been able to use against me my entire life, but no more. He is truly defeated. I realized my brother was also undermothered. I am still in wow over this. My small group was amazing on another level. We connected, strengthened, encouraged, and cried with each other through breakthroughs, a little bit of heaven on earth. I am truly changed. This has released me from the bondage I have been in for so long. I am moving forward in all areas of my life as I have always been told it was me by my mother who was the problem. But I do not accept this anymore, as I have the facts to reveal the why, and I now have confirmation it was not me, but my mother who could not give me from an empty vault. I have stood for years on the promises of Jesus saying from the time I discovered I was to be a mother, I would not be as was done to me, and I have not. I have claimed to be a generational curse breaker, strongholds and chains, and standing firm for my children and family. Coming in at number 4 was our episode 106, The Hidden Picture. This was actually based on a blog post that I wrote for Motherless Daughters Ministry blog this year. I shared about a special piece of jewelry and how it makes me think about my experiences with grief and mother loss. Let's listen to part of that episode where I'm telling my story. Have you ever seen one of the projection photo necklaces? I recently purchased one, and it's my new favorite piece of jewelry. If you haven't heard of those, it's a necklace with what appears to be a jewel. But if you take a closer look, the jewel has a hidden photo projected inside. You have to get the jewel pretty close to your eye to see it. The image is masked to the outside world, but something you carry with you when you wear it. Isn't that such a fitting depiction of our mother loss? Now that I'm 7 years into my mother loss journey, my grief is not often on display for others to see. Most days, I do not encounter people who knew my mom or anyone who is thinking about my grief. But just like that photo hidden in the jewel, my mother loss is something I carry with me all of the time. While my grief appears differently than it did those first few weeks or months, it is still a force in my life that affects me in so many ways. But to the outside world, it is hidden for the most part. Just like it takes getting close to the jewel to see the full image, someone has to get close to us motherless daughters to actually see our grief. Perhaps it is due to walls we've expertly constructed to protect ourselves, or just trying to live our lives normally and move on. But just like that image, our grief is hidden and deeply embedded inside of us. It may be grief from a death that everyone else around us has seemed to move on from. Maybe it is the invisible grief of emotional abandonment or an estrangement when relationship looked normal to the outside world. It might not be obvious to those around you, but when someone gets to know you, they may be able to see the impacts of the grief. Another thing about the projection necklaces is they may be hidden from those who were unfamiliar with the necklaces. But I saw someone the other day wearing one and immediately recognized what it was. They have a distinct look, but it's something you would likely miss if you didn't know about them. Grief can be a bit that way as well. Sometimes those who have not experienced mother loss can struggle to understand what we as motherless daughters are going through. But if you've been there, you can spot it much more easily. You can see the pain, the desire for a sense of family that's missing, a longing for a mother figure in their life, the loneliness when everyone else seems to have their mother around, and so many other emotions and struggles. A sense of community with others who have been there is so vital to our healing journey. It is one of the things I am most grateful for with Motherless Daughters Ministry. I have never felt more seen and understood than in conversations with other women on this journey. Continuing our countdown, we have our third most listened to new episode. This is episode 102, Mother Lost by Suicide. This is one of our interviews that we had this year on our podcast. We had the opportunity to talk with the Motherless Daughters Ministry Executive Director, Daniela Najoli. She talks about her experience of mother loss. We know this can be such a difficult topic for so many to discuss and navigate, and we are so appreciative of Daniela sharing her story of mother loss by suicide. We know this episode is one that will help others feel less alone. Let's listen to just a small portion of her interview.
As a kid, I remember being so excited to celebrate my birthday each year. I mean, who doesn't love getting gifts, eating too much cake and ice cream, and spending time with people you love? As a kid, if someone asked me, "How old are you?" I would proudly tell them my age. Sometimes I might even correct them. No, I'm not 7, I'm 7.5. Adults, though, don't seem to proudly announce their age, and they rarely brag about their half birthdays. Why is this? We're going to take a short break, and when we come back, we'll continue the discussion.
Mother loss comes in many forms: death, emotional absence, narcissism, and as painful as mother loss is, there are so many treasures to be found by going through the pain instead of avoiding it and stumbling around trying to tiptoe around it. Motherless Daughters Ministry is a nonprofit 501c3 and was created by motherless daughters for motherless daughters. We can actually say, we understand your pain. We've been there. We're still there. We are all survivors, and as survivors, we walk this journey together. For over 20 years, this ministry has reached every corner of the globe to help motherless daughters just like yourself find comfort, freedom, self-love, grace, forgiveness. Could you use any of those? You've already taken the huge step of tuning into this podcast. You are on a mother loss journey. Did you know that? This very moment and every action you take will either bring you closer to healing or push you further away from it. Which direction do you want to move in? Motherless Daughters Ministry is here to help you navigate the deep and frigid waters of mother loss. Let us do what we do best, and that's nurture you as you heal.
Our second most downloaded new episode for 2025 is called Making Choices. This episode 104, was a motherless daughter's story about healing from mother loss. She shares what she's learned and how it shaped her outlook on life. She shares that while becoming motherless is not a choice, everything after that becomes an opportunity to exercise that power. Making choices is not always an easy task. Our feelings, emotions, people, and circumstances often get in the way. However, some factors can facilitate our decisions. Let's listen to part of her story.
Why is it that when we're kids, we can't wait to be older, but the older we get, the more we think about being young again? Maybe it's because we yearn to go back to the days when things were simpler, the days when our biggest concerns were what to play with next, the days when others took care of us and the world seemed safe, the days when our hearts didn't know what it felt like to be broken, the days when dreaming was encouraged and anything seemed possible. For me, it took losing my mom to gain a new perspective about life. That first year was the hardest, especially the holidays. I had lost loved ones before, but something about this was completely different. I remember feeling like a piece of me was missing and wondering if things would get better. I remember the smallest things would trigger me and stir up emotion. Hearing a certain song on the radio, seeing the color red, my mom's favorite color, or even walking down the card aisle of a store was difficult. I also remember being surprised at how difficult it was to celebrate that first birthday after losing my mom. I didn't feel like celebrating the day I was born when the person who gave birth to me was no longer there. I just wanted to get through the day. Years later, I still miss my mom every day, but the sadness is no longer overwhelming. Laughter, joy, and hope have returned. The Journey class, the book Motherless Daughters by Hope Edelman, and connecting with others who have experienced mother loss have all been instrumental in helping me along this grief journey.
Lastly, we are going to reveal our most downloaded new episode for 2025. This episode was also one of our interviews, this time a panel discussion. The topic of the interview was our Journey Retreat that we mentioned earlier. It was great to hear different perspectives as we had facilitators and participants sharing their experiences. Here's just a small clip of how that interview went.
But really, I'm very curious for you to share with the group how you got involved with the Journey Retreat.
I don't mind going first, and it might be appropriate because I first became involved in the Journey Retreat in 2005, and it's about 5 years after its founding. And at the time, it was a 12-week course. I could not return to volunteer until I retired around 2017 or 18. And that's when I came back as a volunteer and attended the Journey Retreat. The entire course had been modified to a 72-hour residential retreat. And I was amazed at how the program had been modified and how awesome I saw transformations happen with the people there. The instructional design had been reworked to fit it into the 72 hours, and all of the information from the 12-week course was redesigned to that program so that you have dedicated time to explore all the things that were included in the course.
Okay. Jana, you want to go next? I'm going to have to just call you as you're on my screen, okay?
Sounds good. Yeah. So about 3-4 years ago, I completed the Daughters of Narcissistic Mother class and the Emotionally Absent Mother class that the ministry offers online. And after completing both of those classes, I got so much out of them that when it became time to sign up for the journey, I decided to go for it and did the Journey Retreat a few years ago in 2022 as a participant.
Okay. Vanessa, you're right in front of me.
Okay. As I started to say a little bit earlier, I kind of just did an online search for other women in my predicament of losing their mom. And I came across you guys, I think on Facebook. And at that time, it was 2022. So it only had been my mother had only been going on 6 months. And the Journey Retreat, that would have been of 2022. I felt it was a little soon. And so I went ahead and gave myself some time, and I went in 2023 and really just to find a way to learn how to, like I said, how to cope with her absence in the long term and start dealing with my own grief and living day to day and going to work and taking care of my family and all the stuff that we still got to carry on and do. And so now it's kind of brought me back again around, and because this is going to be a lifelong thing. So.
Daniela, do you have anything to add to that? How did you get involved in the Journey Retreat?
Yes. Well, how I got involved in the Journey Retreat was, it all started after seeing a table at a women's conference that I had attended in 2019. And it was the table for the Motherless Daughters Ministry. And so I was intrigued by the ministry itself and had grabbed the card and learned of the different courses and also the support groups. And I live on the west side of Cincinnati, and I noticed that at the time, the support groups were in person on the other side of town. So at that point, I didn't see how I would be able to connect logistically because I had kids, but I kept that in my heart. And just by seeing this ministry, someone at a table, just sharing the information was really helpful. That's how I kind of started and came from there.
Okay. Thank you. Sarah, do you have anything to add to that? How you got involved with the Journey Retreat?
So I found the ministry through actually the podcast. And at the time I had my youngest was very little. And so I was mainly just involved with the ministry through some volunteering remotely, that sort of thing. But in 2023, I had the opportunity to go to the Journey Retreat. I was going as a volunteer and also doing some podcast episodes and interviews with some of the volunteers. But then while I was there, I also got to be part of participate as well. So it was a great experience.
And I didn't share with you my how I got involved with the Journey Retreat. I've been involved with the retreat since 2016, and I am the person who developed the retreat. So I was the human person. There was a lot of spirit-driven stuff that was going on. So I can't take total credit for it, but anyway.
There's so much more to the interview, and we would encourage you to check it out if you've ever wondered about the retreat or been interested in attending. Well, those are our top 5 new episodes for 2025. We hope these episodes and all the ones we did brought healing, hope, and encouragement to you. Perhaps this episode pointed out some that you haven't heard yet. If so, we'd encourage you to check the show notes for all the info and listen to the episodes. I also just want to take a moment to say a huge thank you to the women whose stories are represented in all of our episodes. Sometimes you hear their actual voice and sometimes just their words, but I hope you can feel a sense of community and healing in their stories. Thank you again for helping make 2025 so successful for our podcast. We hope to reach even more in 2026. We'd love for you to share our episodes with motherless daughters you know. Also, if you haven't, please consider giving our podcast a review on whatever platform you listen to podcasts on. These reviews help make it easier for others to find our podcast. We hope you have a very happy holiday season and a happy new year. We'll see you in 2026.
Thank you for joining us on today's podcast. If you are in need of more nurturing words and voices of experience, we encourage you to listen to our other episodes, hit subscribe, and come check out our Motherless Daughter resources on our website at motherlessdaughtersministry.com. You can also find us on our YouTube channel and in our Facebook community, Motherless Daughters Ministry. We hope you'll come visit us, and we look forward to you joining us again next time. Until then, stay well.